This is Gotham TV Podcast, episode 99, about Gotham, season 3, episode 20, Pretty Hate Machine.
I'm David Mazuz, and you're listening to Gotham TV Podcast.
This is Drew Powell, and you're listening to Gotham TV Podcast.
This is Robin Lloyd Taylor, and you are listening to Gotham TV Podcast.
Welcome back, Gothamites. This is our coverage of Gotham, season 3, episode 20, Pretty Hate Machine. I love that name. That's the name of the first album, the debut album of 9 Inch Nails with Trent Reznor. One of my favorite albums of all time. I will just say it. We're back with our episode 99, one episode from 100 episodes about Gotham, the TV show, and some DC movies. Not a huge amount, mostly about Gotham for the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's all about Gotham, baby.
I'm one of your hosts, Derek.
Hi, I'm one of your other hosts, John.
Great to be back here for the not the penultimate episode in Ireland. We have 3 more episodes to go. This one plus episode 21 and episode 22, which will be coming out in the next couple of weeks. But our coverage next week will be our 100th episode of the podcast. We'd love for you to get in contact with us for that episode. All you need to do is email us at feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com or pop over to our website at gothamtvpodcast.com and leave us a voicemail for our 100th episode. Remember, we have our Bullockism competition where you can win a Harvey Bullock pop. I'm pointing over there because it's over there. But you could also win the first season of the base cards for the Gotham trading cards. And we're going to throw in, since it's coming up to our 100th episode, we're going to throw in a copy of season 3 of Gotham on Blu-ray. So you can watch it in high definition, the full season.
Yeah, and hopefully tons and tons of extras as well.
Yeah, hopefully. If you want to subscribe to the podcast and you haven't yet, if you've just picked us up, make sure you go over and subscribe on Apple Podcasts through our link at gothamtvpodcast.com/iTunes, or you can find us on any good or villainous podcast catcher by just searching for Gotham TV Podcast, and you'll get us there and subscribe. We did announce a couple of weeks ago we're going to be covering Gotham Season 4 at the US pace. The US premiere is the 21st of September, so hopefully we'll have our first episode and review of Gotham Season 4, Episode 1 out just after that.
Yeah, not too far away now.
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
Wow. There goes our holiday.
No, we have a break. Our final episode of Season 3 should be on the 6th of September, so we got 2 weeks off, and then the 21st September when we have our next episode on Gotham Season 4. But with that, I think we should be getting into our coverage of Season 3, Episode 20, Pretty Hate Machine. Can't stop saying that.
Absolutely. Leslie goes nuts.
Yeah, she is the Pretty Hate Machine.
So, Derek, what are some of the production notes?
The production notes, I love it. Yes, this episode was directed by Danny Cannon. I'm guessing that he's the one that chose the title for this episode.
I think so too.
He does have a real industrial punk kind of vibe about the music that he's chosen for the show. He's definitely involved in the music choices for throughout season 1 and season 2. He's the one that put out the playlist for season 1, season 2, and chose a lot of the bands that played in Oswald's and in Fish Mooney's place in first season. So I think he may have chosen Pretty Hate Machine as the title for this episode.
It's a fair bet, definitely.
I think so.
We love Danny.
We do, definitely. I just listen to his music all the time. It's awesome. The episode was written by Stephen Lillian and Brian Windebrandt. They've written 4 episodes of the season this season and have done some brilliant episodes of Gotham. But some great news for them. They have just gotten a pickup for their own show, a show called God Friended Me, picked up to series on CBS. Apparently a comedy show about a guy on Facebook who gets his profile friended by God. And so interesting premise there. Have to go and check that out. But possibly the bad news is, as writers of Gotham, they've done 4 episodes this season. If they go off and get their own show, that's possible they won't be coming back to do an episode of Gotham next season. Wish them the best. They've done great jobs on Gotham so far. So hopefully they'll be able to work in an episode of season 4 in their schedule as it comes up. John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with your synopsis for the episode?
Sure. The Day of Judgment has come to Gotham and the Court of Owls as the Shaman and Bruce Wayne return to the ruling council and punish them for murdering Bruce's parents. Despite being given the opportunity, Bruce takes no action in their murders but agrees to never hesitate again. He he isn't waiting long for the next opportunity, as Professor Hugo Strange has a new weaponized version of the Alice Tetch virus, which the shaman wants to release in the city. However, the virus has already begun to spread in Gotham as it begins to take hold of Leslie Tompkins after she purposefully injected herself with the virus. She kidnaps Jim Gordon and buries him alive. He is given two choices: either take the virus to escape his tomb and save Gotham from the virus bomb, or die 6 feet under. As Harvey Bullock and the GCPD hounds search frantically to save him, Alfred Pennyworth, after his search for Bruce, finally catches up with him at the top of Wayne Enterprises. He is too late to prevent the brainwashed Bruce from detonating the virus, as the shaman, sensing that his plan is in danger, presses Bruce's hands to detonate the bomb, releasing the deadly virus on Gotham. However, Alfred manages to kill the shaman for his part in this, but with his dying words, the shaman instructs Bruce to locate the Yuan building, where he'll find the demon's head and his destiny.
Oh yes, the demon's head.
Oh, the demon's head,
Yes.
when I think we all know who the demon's head might be.
Maybe not.
Maybe not, but
we'll
we
definitely
will
talk about it later on in the
definitely
episode.
be talking about it, yes.
Yeah. I think it's time to get into our top 5 points for the episode.
Yeah. Spoilers are here within, even
Absolutely.
though we are 6 to 8 months behind the America.
True, but but obviously the show's coming out on Netflix, the show's coming out on Blu-ray and DVD in the next couple of weeks, so maybe people are just listening along with our podcast at a later date, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
Welcome. Yes, so the way we cover our podcast obviously was top 5 points, so let's start off with point number 1, case note 1. The ruling council comes to an end. Ooh, shocker. I was really surprised at this. So this is effectively the shaman coming back with Bruce Wayne to Gotham. They came back last week. But we see them now interacting with the Court of Owls, or what we've known in the past as the Court of Owls. A little bit of deference from the team behind the court, effectively saying that the reason why they did what they did, which we'll talk about in a second, was because the shaman doesn't come back very often to Gotham. He stays away for quite a long time, which means they have to make some decisions on their own. But the decision that they've made, which goes against what the shaman would have allowed them to do, is they are the ones that killed Bruce Wayne's parents. We had questioned this in the last episode, that it all seemed very convenient that the shaman wasn't involved, and that he was telling Bruce that he wasn't involved. It was the Court of Owls. He was stepping back from it. But this seems to be the definitive story on what happened to Bruce's parents.
It could be.
Yes.
It may also... could be not.
Maybe
It
also
could
be
still be a red herring from the shaman. Because he is wanting Bruce to believe, he's wanting to brainwash him, and he's done a pretty good job at that. But what better way of doing it than killing the entire council? Plus, we are now aware of the demon's head. That there are other forces that have allowed the Court of Owls to rule in Gotham, or think that they are ruling.
Yeah.
So it could be being done to make Bruce really fully commit to his new role with the shaman. But it could also be, as well, getting rid of problems for now this murkier kind of person or thing that is standing behind the shaman, known as the Demon's Head.
It's true.
So, yeah, on the face of it, absolutely. It looks like Bruce Wayne's parents' death was at the hands of the Court of Owl from their orders, and it wasn't, and it certainly wasn't allowed by the shaman or his own boss. So this is really interesting, but we still see Bruce hesitate, and I'm wondering, does that mean there's still a bit of the old Bruce Wayne left, who really is abhorrent to murder and killing, or is he playing a game? Has, for some reason, this strong young kid been able to get over all these techniques that the shaman has been using to brainwash him? So that could be quite interesting. However, I suspect he's certainly under his influence in a deep way. Whether he can get snapped out of that is another matter. And I suppose we will come to that when we talk about Alfred trying to find Bruce.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we do get from that a sense that Bruce actually is now under the control, or has been changed enough from everything that's been going on in his mountain prison to actually believe his new life.
Like what does Alfred call him? He calls him like a zombie. He's now a zombie zealot, effectively.
Yeah, so it really is possible, but on the face of it, it looks like a certain thing is happening, but I wonder whether there's any layers below that.
It's certainly a big play. He kills every member of the ruling council. We lost Catherine last week, and now we've got every member of the ruling council of the Court of Owls with their throat slit, which is pretty brutal even for Gotham.
Yeah, it was a good old massacre.
Sure,
Valentine's Day massacre going on from the shaman there at the hands of the Talons. So, that is pretty brutal.
Yeah. And they say, there's no doubting that you're our leader, but we have to make decisions when you're not around. This was our decision. They were getting close, or at least Bruce's father was getting close, Thomas Wayne. And Bruce asked the question, well, why did my mother have to die as well? They made a very difficult decision there, saying that they're going to kill the Waynes. And Bruce is wondering why his mother was involved, not just Thomas Wayne. So I don't think there's much. I don't think Bruce has much problem with their deaths, but it's not at his hand. It still doesn't change the fact that Batman doesn't kill, and that Bruce doesn't kill. It was at the hands of the shaman. He was the one that made the decision for them to die. But it was an interesting question from Bruce that if you made that decision, why did my mother have to die as well?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, there's that aspect, and there is also the aspect that the Court of Owls, with this weapon that's now being developed by Professor Strange, have actually been carrying out the orders of the shaman. This is something that is willed by the shaman and the person behind him. And I think it's interesting because this is when we then get our first glimpse at Alfred, who is trying to find Bruce. He's been at the GCPD with Harvey Bullock, and they're starting to search for Bruce. And I suppose this brings us on to our case note number 2. That Alfred is there trying to find Bruce.
He's joined the GCPD again.
In effect, So
I love that they just keep letting him out on the streets. Towards the end of most of the seasons, we've seen this where Alfred gets out of gets out of Wayne Manor and gets to go out on the streets of Gotham with the GCPD. He seems to be a bit of an enforcer for them occasionally. Probably owing to his past in the military. They do kind of trust his judgment and trust his abilities, but some really cool stuff in this episode for 00 Alfred.
Definitely. I love how Harvey says, we need to get you a badge or something so that you can be a fully fledged member of GCPD, like Harvey's strike force, or almost like the special branch kind of doing their thing to help the GCPD remain and retain order in Gotham. But I mean, ultimately as well, Harvey and Alfred do split here, where Harvey tells Alfred to go find Bruce, and he finds him there just after Professor Strange has revealed his new contraption to release the Tetch virus into Gotham. Alfred here really is confronted with someone who he questions, but is ultimately taken out with a knock to the head.
Hello, yeah, but very cool, very interesting, and he gets to find that Bruce is truly brainwashed here. At least the persona of Bruce definitely seems to be controlled here. Alfred is kind of saying to the shaman, do you not know anything about this kid? He's going to be able to fight it. He's a strong kid. So maybe he's putting on a performance for the shaman, but I'm not sure. Bruce seems very convinced by the work that the shaman has done with the pins in the head for the last couple of weeks while he's been away. So,
absolutely. But here we have then Professor Strange taken into custody, and this is where we really do see Harvey asking Alfred to really go full on after Strange and interrogate him.
I think it's not my Bullockism of the week, but saying even if there's only a pinky left, we'll book it and put it in prison is a pretty good Bullockism of the week. I did enjoy that, and to be honest, having BD Wong back on screen, I love his presence on this show. I love that they keep bringing back this kind of. He's nefarious. He is involved in all of these plans. He's doing some really, really creepy things, but he always seems to not want to be involved with all these people that are forcing him to do their various dirty work. You know, it's got interesting.
Definitely, and I think here, you know, he's hung over the edge of the GCPD by his tie. Yeah, really good scene. You know, Harvey seeing that Alfred's interrogation techniques with Catherine can get information out of the person being interviewed really gives Alfred a free hand here. And we find that Bruce is at Wayne Enterprises. And he does arrive in time at Wayne Enterprises, and it seems to me anyway, I mean, I think this is probably open to discussion in the sense that, you know, does Bruce actually depress the button because the shaman has given him the responsibility not to hesitate on pressing the button to release the Tetch virus. And he's there, and it looks like he's going to do it. It really does, and he's certainly not backing down despite Alfred trying to persuade him otherwise. However, the shaman comes in and pushes Bruce's hand on the button.
That's true.
So it's definitely the shaman that does this. But it is a bit of a standoff between Bruce and Alfred.
It is, and what's interesting, I suppose, is we saw back in the episode with Silver St. Cloud, where Bruce and Selena were trying to trick her to get some information from her out of Silver St. Cloud. We saw how far Bruce is willing to go with these kind of techniques where he's pretending that he's under control or pretending that somebody's got him. So you are right. There is a possibility he was pretending and hoping that he would get the information out before he pressed the button. That's a possibility. He didn't press the button on his own, so that still maintains the Batman doesn't kill.
Definitely.
Piece. Maybe it's just the writers trying to put it in there that now we do question whether it was Bruce on his own or not. But yeah, the button was pushed though at the end of the day, and his finger was over the top of it at the time. So maybe he was or maybe he wasn't. But this is quite a big thing that this episode particularly ends with the button being pushed and these people in the train station are now going to be affected by the virus.
Yeah, but Alfred kills the shaman because all of this has been done at gunpoint, and the shaman dies.
Yeah,
but not until he lets Bruce know that he needs to go to the Yuan building and find the demon's head in order to fulfill his destiny.
Another layer of the Russian doll or the onion.
The demon's head.
Yeah. So we know from comic books, I think, is where we are. We know from comic books what the demon's head means. We also know from Arrow what the demon's head means. It's not. It's not that. What we do know is that it is Ra's al Ghul.
It is.
He's called the demon's head in a lot of the books.
Al Ghul.
I think that was also in Batman Begins as well. He was called the demon's head. So it is a very normal name for the character. You'd know it instantly if you know anything about the universe or read any of the comic books or watched any of the films. So it's not going to be a big surprise that we're going to see Ra's al Ghul in the next few episodes. And it is possible that Bruce has been possibly pretending along the road to try and get to the leader, the ultimate person.
It could, and I wouldn't put that past Bruce. So I'm still hoping that he is chucking this organization a bone, really, and they are actually following him, really. But yeah, certainly we are going to get Ra's al Ghul, the League of Assassins,
League of Shadows.
League of Shadows. Lots of names behind this organization and their leader. Many faces does he put on himself as well. So
Absolutely.
It's a really interesting sort of point in this season because effectively coming against such evil will the hero in Bruce arise. And that's why I think he might still be red herringing it.
Maybe. We do know that that again, the back history of the character of Batman is that he goes and studies with the League of Assassins to learn a lot of the tricks and techniques that he has. So if we're going to meet Ra's al Ghul now, this is a possibility that Bruce will be on his journey to becoming Batman. So really excited to see that go out in the next couple of episodes. It'll be very cool.
Yeah, but I think on to case note 3. So not only do we see the virus enveloping Gotham through the main train station, but at the same time, there was a chance that it could have been prevented, and that was from Jim Gordon.
Yes.
But before we get to that, Lee is a pretty hate machine.
Yes, she is.
And she obviously took the virus, injected herself with it, and is absolutely in love with Jim Gordon. And that is her extreme response to the virus. That's what it's drawn out of her. That she is besotted with Jim Gordon.
It's an interesting one.
And she is now trying to get him to love her. That she feels so much she wants him by him, and she will either have him or she will kill him if she can't have him.
Yeah, so an interesting one here. She says that what the virus brings out in her is that she truly loves Jim. This is what the virus has revealed to her. And we kind of knew that. We always knew there was something between the two characters from when they met first. But I'm wondering if there's a little bit more to the explanation that she's not saying, that she's in love with her ideal of what she wants Jim to be, because she gets so frustrated at how Jim actually acts. And that's what she's trying to teach him. If you could just be this person that I'm in love with, if you could just be that person, then the two of us will end off together and we'll be perfect together. She's crazy. She's full of the Aztec virus, and it's changing her version of herself. It's changing the real version of Leslie Tompkins. But is this teaching her that if Jim takes the virus, then the two of them could be together for life? If Jim just gives up on this concept of being the hero that must go after everything and possibly put himself in danger all the time, and his friends and his family, that then they will be together for life? Is that what the virus is doing to her?
It's an interesting one that's what she does, that she effectively knocks him out, buries him alive, and gives him this choice to either take the virus or die. Because as you say, what is the virus going to do to Jim? Will it make him feel the same feelings to her that she has to him, but in that viral sense of the extreme? Or will it bring out actually the side of Jim that has infuriated her for this time? So I think that idea that she wants the perfect image of Jim that she would want to love is probably the right thing, but I don't know whether she's going the right way about it to achieve that. Because,
everybody wants to change the man they love.
Because she still knocks him out at the station.
Yeah.
So after the virus, he is absolutely intent on preventing this bomb from going off. So the virus is driving him to do good. It's not making that good become evil in the same way as Captain Barnes, where his goodness of justice has led him to be a murderer.
Yeah.
At the moment, Jim's behavior is, now whether he's fighting it and trying to suppress it, because he's only just had it. At the moment, though, it's still, or he is able to suppress it enough where he can still act as Jim Gordon to try and save the city and to prevent this bomb from going off. Or the virus is pushing him to do that, because the thing that's drawing out from him is his sense of action,
justice,
but justice in a different way from Barnes.
Yes, true. Yeah.
So
maybe the virus is
interesting.
So maybe the virus is making him a better cop. His special superpower that this brings out in him is, I'm an even better cop, and maybe he can grow a mustache much quicker than anybody else in the city, and becomes our true Jim Gordon. Maybe his hair goes grey and he grows a mustache.
Yeah, and that's why he is Jim Gordon from here on after.
That could be it. But no, I'm intrigued by this, and obviously there is a point made very early on in the episode when Jim is talking to Leslie, saying the virus took a much longer time to take hold of Barnes. It took weeks before he started seeing signs of the executioner in Barnes. So that's an interesting point. Very clearly made that possibly this virus will not stay long in Leslie. And also the fact that Jim knows the virus is in him, maybe he can stave it off a bit longer until until Lucius Fox can come up with the cure for the virus for both Leslie and Jim.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I had always seen it that Captain Barnes really had just gotten one drop into his eye, whereas they have injected it directly into their bloodstream, so it's faster acting. I suppose... So that's how I would see that. However, and unfortunately, I think I'll be proved right in this, that there is going to be some cure.
Oh, yes.
And the thing is that...
Can't have Jim Gordon.
It will just be, this cure will pop up. All of a sudden, Lucius Fox will come back and says, I've been working on this cure. And that will be that. Yet, Lucius really should have been captured in the hands of the Riddler somewhere still. And... if he's been doing that, he's been doing it for some time, and, you know, Jim with Maroni, and, like, so he's still, it will just be convenient, and it will come across as convenient, I think, with how the pacing of the series has been on this, and also some of the rationale that Jim has done for shooting Maroni, or in terms of his treatment of Captain Barnes. So I actually really hope that isn't the case. I hope it moves and carries over into season 4 that he has this virus, but I suspect it won't, and I suspect it will get wrapped up really quickly, and I think that will be a shame. That's just my own opinion, I think. Because it will just be like the height of convenience.
Yes, but we
and
do
that'll
know
be a shame.
We do know right back to when Barnes got infected that Lucius Fox did say he was working on it, but it could take a long time. So we do know that was dropped back there. So we do know there's a possibility of it. I don't think you can have your main character like Jim Gordon go into the next season as superpowered Jim Gordon.
You can,
but I could also
why
be
not?
wrong.
Why not?
Can we just quickly talk about the buried scene? The Jim
really
Gordon
good.
underground being buried alive. This must be a significant fear for a lot of people. I know this is one that my grandfather used to wake up screaming at night thinking that he could be buried alive, and it's actually the reason he got cremated when he died, was because he was terrified that he could possibly be buried alive. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
But yeah, I think it's one of those fears that everybody has. The idea here...
Did you used to sleepwalk around their house when you stayed over with a shovel or something?
No, he wasn't that scared.
So he thought you were
of me.
coming to get him to bury him?
No, definitely not. But an interesting choice here. Jim either has a choice of dying over a long time while he suffocates in a box under 6 feet underground, or taking the virus, which is something that Jim would never do. He would never knowingly or wantonly take the virus. And the thing that pushes him over the edge, which I thought was really interesting, is that he's using his own detective skills. He's worked out where the Tetch virus bomb is going to be in Gotham, and if he doesn't get out, the people of Gotham won't be saved.
Yeah.
That's why he makes the push over to that side, which I think is a great trait of Jim Gordon's. It's just a shame there aren't more people in the GCPD that can put 2 and 2 together.
Definitely. It will be interesting to see how it plays out. Mm-hmm. But I think from one freak to another freak and his armylessness of freaks.
Okay.
Case note 4, Penguin's freaks have effectively gone and left him. With the exception of Ivy in the safe house, Mr. Fries, Dr. Fries, and Firefly are now... ultimately, they have left. They have left Oswald, or seemingly.
Yeah.
Again, I think whether this is a ruse, I don't know. So that it draws Tabitha, the Riddler, and Barbara out into the open to come after them. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But certainly, yes, Penguin's freaks seemingly have left him.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? It seemed to take a lot of work to get them to his side, and then to not have them in the episode seemed odd. It seemed really weird. They've left him because he disappeared for a day. Seems like a really weird choice in the season. So yeah, maybe he didn't want to give this information to Ivy, and he's having a tantrum in his hideout, pretending that they've gone. I don't know though. I don't know. It'll be intriguing to see. I really hope we're going to see Fire and Ice back. Later on
definitely.
in the season.
I hope so too.
It would be really odd to bring them in as strongly as they did, and then for them to completely disappear. It was a really odd choice.
Yeah, I mean they do. The Riddler finds his hideout, which then goes into lockdown, and which was really interesting, and allows Oswald to effectively leave the safe room, but as it locks down, he manages to escape.
Does Ed really want to kill Oswald, or is he just kind of getting off on the idea that he might possibly be able to kill Oswald? He seemed to hesitate quite a lot to find out why they found it so easy to get into the lockdown. They could easily have shot him there and walked out the front door in the amount of time it took them to find out that it was locked down, and for Penguin and Ivy to escape. But it did give us some great moments with Ivy and Penguin. I love the two of these characters together. They're hilarious.
They're great.
Particularly Ivy when she's going, Selena would never betray us. There's no way she would. Well, unless they offered her money. Oh, they must have offered her money, as they walk in the door and find the two of them. Really good moments between the two of them. Really enjoyed them.
But again, they are foiled.
Yes. Yeah.
And I suppose on to case note 5. Fish Mooney returns, arrives just in the nick of time in order to really get Oswald off and out of a very, really serious, sticky situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, really interesting situation here with Fish, where is it possible they kind of came from the same situation? Penguin's army of freaks come from Indian Hill, the same place that brought Fish back to life. Is it possible that Dr. Freeze and Bridget went to Fish and said, Penguin's in a really sticky spot here, you guys still have a relationship, can you go and get him out of this situation with Riddler? Is it possible that there's some involvement there between those three characters, and that's why they haven't left Oswald? They've done something to get him out of this situation.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, this will really be interesting, because we've not seen Fish now for a long time, and certainly it was Oswald and her that really kind of, to some extent, came to some kind of mutual understanding that they were on the same side, that they had a lot of mutual respect for one another. Mm-hmm. So I really hope that this takes an interesting turn, because I think Oswald and Fish are great together, whether it is being the Umbrella Boy, hating one another, battling one another, or maybe now teaming up together.
Yeah.
But still, I wonder whether Oswald will see her as a threat. He really is hoping to recapture that crown of the King of Gotham.
But it was really interesting. He did mention about Maroni and Falcone. He's kind of pining for the days that they were the people in charge, because they never would have accepted the kind of things that Barbara does, the kind of things that Riddler does. They never would have accepted that kind of stuff in the city. He kind of forgets that he's also been responsible for a lot of those types of challenges and bombs and explosions and deaths in the city of Gotham. So it's kind of like he wants to be the only freak in the city in control of it, which he does. He wants to be King of Gotham again. But it's kind of like he wants to be that and wants everybody else to be like old school mobsters, which is quite interesting. I loved the interaction between Butch and Fish, because Butch was under mind control the last time they met, back in the end of season 2. He didn't really get the opportunity to kind of go, oh, hi Fish, how are you doing? And I liked that was the conversation. It was, how you doing, Fish? And she goes, well, I was alive, then I was dead, then I was alive again, so things are looking up.
Yeah, I think that was a really nice little reunion moment in the midst of all of this, and I thought that was really good to see, because and it, in some ways it was nice just having Fish, Oswald and Butch all together again.
3 characters in the pilot,
really, really cool to see that. And again, I just think it will be really interesting to see what Fish and Oswald, what their storyline is going to be. It's almost a shame that Fish is only coming back in now in episode 20, and she just didn't come back a bit earlier, because I must say her entrance was regal. It was really classy, and you can really see her as a confident member of the criminal underworld in Gotham. So yeah, it was a great scene, I thought.
Really intrigued to see what she's been doing for the last 15 episodes or so. It'll be interesting to find out next week.
Yeah, I mean, there was just one little thing. She did touch Oswald, didn't she? I think she kind of caressed his face, or she went close to it. She may not have done. The only thing I noticed is that there didn't seem to be that power that she had. There didn't seem to be any of that kind of rippling light that went over the skin. Yeah. If she touched him, it was difficult to spot, but I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that'd be really intriguing to see. Lots coming up in the rest of the season to be interested in. That's the top 5 points for this episode of Gotham. Yeah. I think we have a couple of little things. Obviously, Bullockisms of the week.
Yep, here we go.
There's just some good little lines. Like I mentioned one earlier on. One of my favorites is when he's talking to Leslie Tompkins in the GCPD and goes, "Lee, in the name of all that's holy and not insane, tell us where Jim is." Only Harvey could deliver that line.
Yep. In referring to Professor Strange, he goes, "Let's go see Goldilocks and to see what he has to say." Great line.
Goldilocks, I love it.
And of course, the one we said earlier, we're going to have to give you a badge or something one of these days to Alfred, because he is such a good interrogator.
Absolutely. I think he also wants a partner that might actually travel with him on cases in his car with him.
Alfred, who mixes violence and threat very well indeed.
Yes, he does. Yes. What did he call Professor Strange in this episode after hanging him off a building? He beats him over the head and calls him a slag. Which I thought was quite interesting. I know Sean Pertwee knows this. In London terminology, or in East End London terminology, a slag is actually a woman of ill repute. Basically, it's a woman that sleeps around. So quite interesting that he says that about Professor Strange. You don't generally call a male a slag,
but I think it extends to anyone that kind of moves around. And I suppose for Professor Strange, he is always moving around to best serve him, not in a sexual sense, but in a devious way. So I think it's that kind of meaning to it in this sense.
A man of low morals, we'll call them. Very good. And again, if you want to send in your Bullockism of any of the episodes of this season or the first 2 seasons, sure, why not? Pop them into us on email over at feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com, or pop over to our website. How about doing a Harvey Bullock impression? Go to the website at gothamtvpodcast.com. Leave us a voicemail, little button on the right-hand side. You can leave 90 seconds of your voicemail feedback. Do it for 100th episode, and you'll be in with a chance of winning our Harvey Bullock and Gotham prize pack.
Absolutely. And of course, if you do it drunk, like Harvey Bullock would be, then you are in with an even bigger chance.
Extra entry in the hat, I think?
Yes, I think so.
I like it. John, overall, what do you think of the episode?
I thought, again, this was really strong. It did feel very much like a transitional episode, but I love seeing Fish, Butch, and Oswald back together again, albeit quite brief and towards the end. But I really am looking forward now to seeing what happens with Oswald and Fish for the next few episodes. I think Bruce's storyline, again, it is really still up in the air. Is he playing the game? Is he trying to get information? Or is he truly brainwashed at this time? And of course, to find the demon's head will be fantastic. That's a really interesting journey for Bruce to go on. So, I mean, for me, I would give this a real solid 3.5 walkie-talkies out of 5. To be honest, I thought this was a good episode. I think it pretty much had to get from A to B in order to move the storyline. But of course, the last 2 episodes, 21 and 22, were as a double back-to-back episode release
in the US,
when it was released in the US. So ultimately, this is the penultimate episode for Gotham in terms of how they screened it in North America.
Setting up the finale. The big 2-hour finale. That's not how we're going to be covering them. As I mentioned before, we're going to be covering them as 2 separate episodes over the next 2 weeks, just to stretch out our show. No, that's how they're going to be airing on RT in Ireland. They're going to be airing as 2 separate episodes. So we're going to wait it out and watch them that way. I think it's on to feedback, John.
Yeah, you can send in feedback through our Facebook group. Just go over to facebook.com/groups/Gotham TV Podcast. There is the more traditional methods at this moment now, where you can send it in to feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com by email, or you can leave a voicemail. Go to gothamtvpodcast.com and click on the right-hand side tab on the screen, and you can leave up to 90 seconds of voicemail for us to air on the show. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, our first bit of feedback comes from Annalise. She goes, "So I don't remember much about this episode itself, as it wasn't one of my favourite episodes of the season, but more people I watched it when I was over with a group of fans for Heroes and Villains Fan Fest in London. And as a result, that was one of the most enjoyable experiences I've had when watching an episode so far."
Yeah, do you remember when we were over at New York Comic Con and we had an entire room of people watching an episode of Gotham the day before it aired in the US? It's definitely one of the best experiences I've ever had.
It was amazing.
Being in a room full of Gothamites watching a scene play out that has characters in it that everybody loves.
Yeah.
It's always so much more fun. I wish we could have viewing parties with all of our Gothamite friends.
Yeah, definitely.
She
She goes on, "I remember gasping really loudly when all of the rest of the court was beheaded by what I can only guess is the League of Shadows. I really would have liked the court to live on a bit longer, but alas, Gotham needed to match kill counts with Game of Thrones." I also love how Alfred became an interrogator for the GCPD yet again in this episode. Hugo's a tough cookie to crack, but again, Alfred is able to obtain the information he seeks. Just like Lee turning, I had even more mixed emotions with Jim's decision to take the virus. I understand he had no other way to save everyone in time, and yet I wonder. I also think I may be in the minority in this, but I'm starting to find Jim and Lee to be a repetitive on-off relationship, and looking at them again for this episode, little bit repetitive. Darkly reminds me a lot of Stabby Babs after she first went crazy. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I suppose it definitely comes a point to when you stop drawing out that particular storyline. I mean, it is very long running, and if you think of Jim, he went into this straight off Barbara as well, Barbara Keene. So, I mean, Jim has been in relationship difficulties as part of his character for a long, long time now, and seems to really find it difficult to hold down a relationship because of how he behaves. To some extent, Annalise, I actually would not disagree with you on this. I don't think it's really come to me at this moment. I'm really enjoying actually having a darker version of Lee Tompkins on the screen. But at the same time, some of my views on Jim Gordon as a character has been that sometimes it's maybe the nature of the character, the nature of him being an anchor for the show, but feel as though it can be a bit one-dimensional. And I suppose to an extent, this relationship thing is very much a long continuation of when he was seeing Barbara Keene now. It's just a change. But there's the same kind of issues that are dominating. It's changed in the sense that now there's a virus. But, you know, it is that he is unable to protect. He looks more at his job rather than the relationship.
Yeah,
you know, but I don't know.
I think for myself, while I do understand your opinion, Annalise, I think for myself, the two characters haven't been in an on-off relationship at all since she left him in the middle of season 2. In fact, he left her. He dumped her and then went to prison. That's the last time they were actually in a relationship. So this is more about his interactions with the women around him that he was formerly in a relationship with, and they're terrible. And that's part of Jim's character. I think we saw even in the Dark Knight films and in the comic books, Jim doesn't have a long-lasting relationship in his life. He does have kids with a Barbara Keene, or with a Mrs. Gordon, as she was formerly known in the comic books, who eventually was Barbara Gordon. But it doesn't last very long. He does have extramarital affairs. He does have other stuff that's going on in his life, and he's never been known as a character with a long-term relationship with a woman. And the way they've kind of translated it in the show is that even the ones that he does have long relationships with, they break up, and he has terrible relationships with them afterwards. So it's really interesting that you do say that. This isn't coming out of it's coming out of formal love between the two characters. She does mention that she's still in love with them, but they're not back together. They're certainly not on the path to marriage like Barbara thought they were. But yeah, I do understand, but I think that's how they're managing a relationship between the two characters in the show. More than anything else. Claire Payne also sent us in some feedback. She says, "Hi Derek and John. Well, I agree with Butch. Fish Mooney knows how to make an entrance.
She sure does.
And a good one too, yeah. It's brilliant how she interrupts the ongoing feud between Ed and Oswald. Fish's direct interactions to Ed, whoever he may be, was fantastic as she takes her little penguin away. Intriguing to see why Fish has come back for Oswald. I've always been a huge fan of Dr. Tompkins, a supporter since season 1. I admire her stability, strength, intelligence, and morals, especially when it came to Jim. With Leslie infected with the Alice Tetch virus, it's really easy to see it has brought out the deeper love she has for Jim and desires for Jim to join her. Okay, Leslie is now officially mentally mad as well, but putting Jim in a coffin and burying him alive is a stroke of genius, and high five all round to the writer's table, as Jim can only escape if he injects himself with the virus. The special effects of Jim coming out of the ground after taking the virus was so
Absolutely,
good.
yeah.
It's really cool, wasn't it? Professor Strange delivering the Tetch virus bomb to his sensei, then he willingly surrenders to Harvey. My bullockism for this episode is when Harvey calls Strange Baldylocks to Alfred. Harvey giving permission to Alfred to interrogate Strange was dramatic and emotional, as Alfred just wants his boy back and refuses to believe that Bruce has been permanently brainwashed by the shaman. The shaman earned that bullet in the head. Thankfully, he pushed the button and not Bruce. Alfred's mission to prevent Bruce becoming a murderer was successful, but a highly emotionally charged ending as Bruce lashes out at Albert.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is this the end of the Course of Owls? Says Claire Payne. After the mass execution, with the exploding bomb infecting the city of Gotham, I wonder how many more crazy people we will see. Maybe it's time for Bruce to go down his path of becoming Gotham's hero. Thanks, from Claire. Yeah, it's interesting. They did set up something very specific in this episode, which I liked, because it's not the entire city of Gotham. This isn't one of the master plans. This is that they'll infect 1,000 people in a specific location, and those 1,000 people will go out and take on the city effectively. So they're going to take Gotham down, but it's being confined. So if they take out these 1,000 people that are in the train station or the bus station, if they do that, then they've contained the virus. So it does give them an out. It isn't the entire city. It's not like the Scarecrow's plan, where if the fear toxin is going to spread across all of the city, they have to just contain this situation. So a nice little out there from the writers. But if we do see 1,000 people who've gotten the virus go out and attack Gotham, it's going to be quite significant.
Yeah, I agree with Claire's dark streak here, that the shaman earned that bullet in the head. Yeah, he really did. And I think, as you say, and we've not mentioned it so far, yeah, that charged ending where Bruce lashes out at Alfred, that's really, really good. And again, I wonder, is it there to make you believe that he is? Or is he still somehow in control? I suspect he probably isn't, me saying all this and hoping that he will be, but I do really like that, because I mean, Bruce and Alfred's relationship is so close, or was so close, that this kind of lashing out, this sort of distance between them, is a great bit of emotional acting and investment from the audience as well as the two actors. To see that kind of change up is really, really good.
And Bruce does finish the episodes in cuffs, effectively. He's arrested by the GCPD for what he's done in Gotham as well. So he's being dragged off to juvenile detention.
Yeah.
Possibly.
But I think this is the end of the Court of Owls.
I think so.
I think for the time being.
I think so.
Yeah.
Now, they do call themselves the ruling board of the Court of Owls, so we know that there's a lot more people involved, so maybe there'll be more people that step up to that new level.
Yeah,
so,
maybe.
And it was the Talons that killed them, which I thought was interesting. The Talons are in control of, by the shaman. He's the one that's in charge of the Talons, and they're the ones that kill the ruling class of the Court of Owls. So potentially there's more people to take up those places. I'm hoping the Court of Owls aren't gone for good.
Yeah.
There is more for them to do in the city, so most likely we will see the court back in some sense in the future. But thank you so much for your feedback, Claire and Annalise.
Thank you so much for your feedback. It's really appreciated. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I think it's time to close out the episode. Thanks so much for joining us. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and listen to our 100th episode next week. We've had a few very interesting voicemails coming in, some really intriguing ones for you to listen to next week. We'll be back with our 100th episode on Wednesday the 30th of August for Gotham Heroes Rise, Destiny Calling, episode 21 of season 3, and looking forward to chat about that next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you as always for listening. It's been a pleasure, and we will speak with you again next time.
Absolutely. Come join us on Defenders TV Podcast for our coverage of The Defenders on Netflix as well. Doing lots of podcasts over the last couple of weeks, but if you enjoy our coverage, come and join us over there on Defenders TV Podcast.
Yeah, if you are a Marvel fan as well as a DC fan, then please head on over to defenderstvpodcast.com and subscribe over at iTunes or Apple Podcasts as well.
Thanks so much for listening. We'll talk to you again next week.
Bye.
Thanks for being a Butch supporter. Butch loves you, baby.